Welcome to the Sentimental Twist,
where two generations share one love for meaningful spaces and gracious hospitality.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Melissa.
Let's gather around the table and talk home, hosting, and all things sentimental. Look, the weeks go by so fast.
They do. Welcome everybody to season 4, episode 5 of the Sentimental Twist. I'm Melissa. You can find me at Home with a Twist on Instagram. HomeWithATwist.com is my website. And Home with a Twist on YouTube.
Yes, and I'm Brittany Shepherd on Instagram, thesentimentaldecorator.com, and Brittany Shepherd TSD on YouTube.
So what's been going on with you since the last time we got on with everybody?
Well, I've started my new job. I think I mentioned that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I really love it so far. My new actual go to work job. And then I have been working with some clients, and we have our first meeting this week. And I'm loving that so much. It's been such a joy to kind of, it's interesting because everybody that I'm working with has a very creative business, and exciting to me because I wanted, like, one of my goals and dreams in the last year is to be working full time in a creative business. And so even though I'm kind of piecing that full time together, everything is very creative and I'm loving that. So that's good. I made the creamed corn that we have talked about several times. It went well. I had to cook it longer than the little recipe card said because it was still a little bit thin and needed to thicken up. But it does thicken up a little bit when you take it out of the oven. But otherwise, I went with half a stick of butter for 4 pints of corn,
which is 2 cups.
Yeah, 1 pint is 2 cups, so it's 4
cups of corn.
2 pints, so 4 cups. Sorry,
okay, 4 cups of corn.
Yes, and half a stick of butter, and just put a little bit of bacon grease in there, salt.
Now wait a minute, you're doing what your grandma Ella did with a little bit. How much did you put in?
I like just a regular teaspoon. Yeah, it's basically
that's looking like a whole lot more than a teaspoon.
A teaspoon.
It's a teaspoon. Okay. So a half a stick of butter or a stick of butter?
I did a half a stick. Probably could have added more. But it was still
corn, teaspoon of bacon grease. Mm-hmm. And it's on a skillet on the stove?
No, this is in the corningware on the oven.
Okay.
And then you add water. And so I did the 2 cups for the 4 cups. 2 cups of water for 4 cups. And I still feel like it just took it a long time for all of that to absorb and be creamy. And so you might want to start with a smaller amount of water and then work its way up and as it thickens. And then when you take it out of the oven, it thickens when it comes out and kind of sits a little bit. But my sister-in-law was here for that meal. And so she helped me because she's made it a lot more than I have in the last several years because my brother grows corn. And so they do it more often than I did. So she helped me kind of like know what the consistency should look like and everything. So,
well, we didn't even think about asking your sister-in-law, how does she make her creamed corn?
Right. And she pretty much does the same thing that I just said.
And so when you say you put it in the corningware, you just dump it all in there. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a bunch of raw ingredients. Mm-hmm. And then you let the oven melt everything.
Yeah.
And then you open the oven every once in a while and stir it.
And check it for the texture.
What's the consistency supposed to be?
So not as thick as oatmeal, but not as loose as a soup, as a corn chowder, for example. So kind of in between there. It's scoopable. And you don't want to have liquid running through a slotted spoon, for example. But it's not super thick like, huh?
I'm so curious to me, what thickens it up without any like cornstarch or anything or flour?
I guess the corn itself,
like the starch in the corn?
Maybe, I don't know.
That is just so odd. I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe Google a little more scientific recipe than mine.
Yeah. Well, yours turned out okay. What else did you fix for everybody?
We had peas, fried okra. I did fry my Mima's cornbread, which was my dad's mom. Mima, and that was about the only thing I ever remember her cooking growing up. Remember, she was the one that went to the Meat and Three restaurant every day for lunch.
So she wasn't a big cook.
After my grandpa died. Yeah, I think she cooked more when my dad was growing up and things like that. But my grandpa died when I was 4, and so I don't think she did much cooking very much after that, as often, and then definitely as she got older. And so we always went to the restaurant for lunch. Yeah, she wasn't like Granny Ella cooked probably every day up until she couldn't anymore, which was very close to when she passed away. So, so she wasn't the cook. She was the one that would take me to the restaurants and out to eat. And I was like, Meemaw, can you take me out to eat? And she would take me out to eat.
And then she'd take you places to buy you things.
Buy toys and things. Yes. So that's what's been happening with me. What about you?
Let's see. I'm gearing up for my birthday party.
Jaws.
Yeah. Do you want to see? You want a sneak peek?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. This is what everybody's going to wear in the pool. Of course, it'll be dark, but it'll be cute.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, that's adorable. Those are so cute. Do they light up?
No. I probably should have gotten light up ones. But
I like them though.
Isn't that fun?
That is so fun. Okay, so your birthday is the 29th.
Yeah. I will tell you what we did that's new is that we went to go see a play at a theater here in Fort Worth called The Amphibian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a small little theater with a stage. And I don't know how many, I've never been, which I can't believe I'm a Fort Worthian, and I've never been to Amphibian. That's kind of a crime, really. But the name of the play was The Shark is Broken. And it is written by Ian Shaw, whose father was Robert Shaw, who played Captain Quint in Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And the play is about the dysfunction of making the movie because Bruce, the shark, broke all the time.
The animatronics.
Yes. Shark. And the three main characters, Roy Scheider, who played the chief of police, Robert Shaw, who was the captain, and Richard Dreyfuss, who was the oceanographer that specialized in sharks.
Mm-hmm.
The three characters spent most of their time on the Orca prop boat when the set was down and they weren't filming because the shark was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the story of how their relationship and really their quandary about this movie. Like, this happened, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, is this movie even going to work out?
Yeah.
And Roy Scheider was like, I know there's never going to be a sequel to this, so this is pretty much over. Well, he starred in the sequel, and it did really well. And also about how Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss did not like each other. So it was really, really good, and I enjoyed it. And so that was a nice little pre-event for my birthday. Yeah. So Mr. Twist treated me to that, so that was fun.
That's perfect. Yeah, the perfect lead-in to the Jaws-themed birthday. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
Okay, so we're going to talk. We have lots of reader email and grams, things on the gram.
I love it.
So we love getting emails, and this week's email comes from our listener, Lynn, who loved our episode where we talked about making every day special. And I'm going to pull up her email because it's just really sweet. Again, we love it when y'all send us emails. It just lets us know that it's not crickets out there.
Yes.
Even though I know that's not true, because people tell us all the time how they feel like they're talking to two girlfriends. Okay. This is from Lynn B. Hi, Melissa and Brittany. I recently just started watching your podcast on YouTube and absolutely love it. I just wanted to send a note of thanks. Brittany casually mentioned the Southern Living thermal carafe, and I went down the rabbit hole. I always wanted a thermal carafe, reminding me of a simpler time, but in this case, you both were discussing how beautiful it was. I was intrigued. I Googled and fell in love. I found one on eBay with shipping at around $40, and it arrived today in perfect condition. Thank you so much for your recommendations. Love your style. Your newest #1 fan, Lynn Bettinger.
Hi, Lynn.
Isn't that great?
So glad you got it. Yeah. Yes. Very pretty. So that makes it awesome.
Can I just say that Lynn influenced me?
Oh gosh, did you get one too?
Stand by. Well, I had to have show and tell.
Right.
And then when we got to thinking about it.
That's it. She's a beaut. She's a beaut.
Isn't she gorgeous? Look at that. And this is, I don't think it's ever It doesn't even smell on the
Smell like
inside like
coffee.
you had
Yeah.
coffee in it. So I can't wait to use this for the holidays,
Yeah.
and for fall coffee. And so I was having FOMO
Yeah. You need one too.
because I think I stopped selling Southern Living when this was brought into play.
Well, it changed at some point from Southern Living at Home to Willow House. And I don't know if Willow House brand was that, or if that, I think that was during Southern Living at Home, the name,
Okay.
because I remember the box that came in with the logo on it. So
So what happened to Southern Living at Home? Did they just
I think it just ended.
it
Yeah.
just fizzled out?
Mhm. I
Man,
mean,
when I was in it, people were making money right and left.
yeah, it paid for mission trips for me, like a ton.
Gosh, I mean, they
So,
had some good stuff. They had a lot of challenges with shipping and inventory that I don't think we probably would have problems with today. But I
yeah.
don't think they were anticipating the level of popularity because
Mhm.
really it was an extension of Southern Living magazine in terms of what you saw in the magazine was what they
Mhm.
could bring you to have in your
Yeah.
own home. So anyway,
You saw it when I was here, like the catalog bags. They had all the different bags, and I had the wicker one with the American flag on it. I carried that. It's the size of that the catalogs fit in, but I carry that as like my summer computer bag because my little laptop fits in it perfectly. So
I see I had one of those bags and I think I gave it away when I stopped doing it. I should have
yeah,
kept it.
yeah, I
It's
like it.
cute.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
so
yeah,
Lynn, thank you so much for your email. We love that. Thank you.
I know. And we've also had some lovely comments on our Instagram, especially when we post little clips from like previews of the episodes and feedback on the things that we've been talking about. And so I wanted to read, well, it's modern_magnolia72. And I know that we've had conversations in my DMs. I know she follows me and we've chatted, but I want to know your first name, honey. So you got to tell us your first name. So we're just going to call you modern_magnolia72.
Yeah, Modern Maggie.
Modern Maggie. Yes. And so she has commented on a few things, but specifically when we talked about the idea of doing the recipe book for a family member for a gift and just kind of through that process. But I loved this that she posted about a week or two ago that says, I've been videoing my little mama, who is 78, cooking our favorite recipes because what she has written down and what she does is not the same. Hello, can we relate? She has knead the bread until it looks right. Add buttermilk until the consistency looks right. Or drop okra in oil once the oil looks right. So I'm videoing what looks right. So I loved that little hot tip. If you have a keeper of recipes, and we're going to talk about that with our guest interview today, that is still around for you to ask the questions and get the stories behind the recipes. Maybe spend time making that, and we'll talk about that in the interview that's coming up, making that recipe and recording, not just in writing, but maybe videoing what looks right and the process. So I wanted to share that little hot tip from Modern Magnolia 72. So
And what a fun little gift.
I know.
Like you could get one of those digital frames
Oh, yeah.
and load up a bunch of videos or pictures of mama's or grandmama's recipes and give that to everybody for Christmas. That would just be genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we love it when you email us and when you comment. Obviously, we say that all the time. So please keep doing it. Please keep sharing your memories, leaving comments, and sending us emails to the Sentimental Twist podcast at gmail.com because we're loving being able to reflect on them and read them and share them with everyone else that's listening. So.
Yeah, and y'all give us great insight of things that maybe we need to talk about or mention or, clarify or whatever. So thank you.
For sure.
Okay, so we're moving on to Brittany's favorite Porch Talk speed round, where we quickly ask each other the same questions and give quick responses so we can pull back the curtain to see who we really are. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
What household rule did you grow up with that you still follow?
Okay, so when I'm trying to think about rules, we didn't have house rules as far as specific things. It was just kind of like we learned how to take care of things and honor our homes and honor our spaces and be organized, just by example, I think, and watching. So, like, the only thing I can think of is, like, separate your whites from your colors.
Yeah, that's a good rule to learn in life. And I
But
think
it's not,
everybody's done it once and has learned to
yeah,
never do it again.
it's not necessarily a rule, like, it's a routine, but I cannot think of anything that, I mean, our rules were more like, always speak to someone when they speak to you,
Yeah.
like manners and respect and things like that. Those were the kind of rules that were enforced with us, and don't talk back, and, you know, honor your curfew and things like that, which was never really an issue for my brother or myself growing up. So, I couldn't really think of a specific household rule. So,
Nothing that your mom made you do, like take your shoes off before you came in the house or
no. I mean,
no.
everything was, you take care of your stuff, it stays in your bedroom. Like, we don't want things all around the house. And so every now and then, the way she would tip us off that we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, she would gather the things downstairs that belonged to us and put them on the bottom step. And we would have to take them up as we went. But it wasn't like
It wasn't like DEFCON 5 where she was
right,
putting things in black trash bags and saying, "You're never going to see these again."
right. Yeah.
I remember when Phoebe was little, when Phoebe was little, I was in the thick of taking care of my parents
Right.
and working and all the things. So my attention span or my tolerance level some days was pretty limited. And I remember one day, I don't know, something, and she was just kind of sassing me about the fact that, she led a really privileged life. And I just launched into, do you know that there are some children that sleep on the floor and rats crawl on them and they don't get dinner? And I mean, I just had like a whole monologue. It was like Julia Sugarbaker from
Mm-hmm.
Designing Women.
And
Yes, in Georgia. And she was just looking at me like, and, she was just like, "Yes, ma'am." And then, I got off my soapbox. And so anyway,
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
What is something you refuse to buy generic?
The only thing that I don't really ever buy generic is toilet paper and paper towels.
Oh, okay. What brand are you loyal to?
I'm a pretty much always a Bounty paper towel gal.
Is that because
And
your
then
mom was a Bounty gal?
I guess so, maybe so.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
usually
that
what we
funny?
had.
Yeah.
And then, and the other thing is trash bags. I'm not buying generic trash bags. I'm getting like a name brand trash bag that's got that Flex force seal in it,
Yeah.
And then toilet paper. I go through phases on different ones. I like it's got to be soft. It's got to have a lot of bulk in the yeah. So right now I think I'm in a Cottonelle phase. Is it Cottonelle? It's on
Remember when
auto delivery with
are you
Amazon.
old enough to remember when toilet paper was colors?
No.
Oh,
I'll be so excited
Brittany.
about that if I had
I don't know
color.
why they did away with it. Maybe it was the dye that caused butt cancer. I don't know. But they used to have like pink toilet paper and blue and green, or it would have patterns on it.
Okay, I do remember the patterned toilet paper. I don't
Yeah.
remember color
And they
though.
also used to do that with paper towels.
I
Paper
remember
towels
I
had
remember the
colors,
patterned
patterns.
colored paper towels, and I think there's
Yeah.
still some brands that do that.
Yeah.
But
I commented that recently on something, a vintage storyteller, and somebody said, "Well, I think it's the dyes, that they got rid of it because they found it wasn't healthy." But I thought it was pretty.
yeah,
What childhood snack could you still eat by the handful?
boiled peanuts.
Oh God.
Boiled
I would
peanuts.
starve if I was a child in your home growing up because or maybe I would like them. I probably would like them because you were
You
teased
would
on
like them
boiled
now. Yeah.
peanuts.
Well, it's boiled peanut season right now because this is the time that the green ones are being pulled and boiled. And there's a guy in our town, the same guy that I bought the ones that you tried. He has been coming to my new office every Friday and bringing boiled peanuts to sell for $5 by the quart. And I'm like, oh gosh, I cannot do this every weekend and eat boiled peanuts all weekend.
And so, like, when he sells them, is everybody just cracking them open at their desk?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody in your office loves them.
Most people do. Yeah.
Are they wet when he sells them to you?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
The ones he brought last Friday were still warm, like he had just pulled them out of the pot. So,
wow. Okay. What's one food you think is wildly overrated?
I'm a foodie, so I try everything and love everything. But overrated, I don't know. Overrated.
Or you just don't see, like, what is the appeal to this? I don't get it.
See, I mean, I am not picky. I don't
I would probably say it won't be my answer, but I would say boiled peanuts.
know. Peanuts. Overrated. I cannot tell you. I cannot think of a single thing that I would say.
I have stumped in 4 seasons. I have finally stumped you.
Well, you
I'm
know, there are food trends, and sometimes I feel like those are overrated, but I can't think of anything right now that's
You mean to Google
also,
some?
let's see,
Let's Google some food
current
trends.
current food.
Overrated food trends. Oh gosh, synthetic truffle oil,
Mm. I love
messy messy grazing boards, uneatable burgers,
hmm.
Dubai chocolate.
Stuffed with stuff.
Are you
What's
is that Dubai chocolate?
okay? Maybe I can say that that's a little overrated.
Okay. You know what? I have to say, I only tried it recently.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like that. While I love things that are trending and new, it seems like I'm always behind everybody else, and I don't know
Oh yeah,
why that is.
I'm always behind.
So I didn't try Dubai chocolate until Phoebe got me a Dubai chocolate bar from Trader Joe's.
Hmm.
And then I was like, next time those become available, because they only sell them at certain times of the year. Like right now, you can't get them because it's too hot, but they'll probably bring them back in time for Christmas. God, they're so good. It's that
Whoa.
pistachio and kind
Okay,
of
I
like,
just saw recently Panera, I think it's Panera, has a Dubai chocolate and pistachio cookie.
oh,
Maybe if I tried that, I wouldn't say it was overrated.
yeah.
Something like that. The
Okay.
other thing that Anna put in my stocking this year was pistachio butter, and it's like kind of like cookie butter. It's sweet, and they also have a version of it that has chocolate in it.
Where'd she
So
find that?
Amazon, I think. But
And what are you
I
going to
love
do with it?
Oh, I ate it out the jar like with a spoon, but it was so good. But I think you can use it like you would like cookie butter.
You know, that would be good if you were going to make us grown up some more
Mm.
and spread the cracker with that pistachio butter
Mm.
and then your chocolate and your marshmallow.
Yes.
That would be good.
But they have a mixed one that's chocolate and pistachio. I saw
Okay.
recently. Okay.
What's something you splurged on that was absolutely worth it?
I would say my Quince bamboo bed sheets, and it's not a huge splurge. I think they're probably like $100 for the full queen. But I sleep hot and I want to be cold when I sleep, and they are cooling and soft and really lovely. And now I have 3 sets so that I don't ever have to have the non-quince bamboo sheets when I sleep.
Maybe I'll get those for my guest beds because I personally love it when I sleep in a bed that is just, like going to a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Exquisite sheets, the room smells lovely, it's dark, all the things.
Now they're soft with almost like a silky texture, but they're not silk obviously. But if you like crunchy sheets, like some people like pressed crunchy sheets, these are not for you.
Yeah.
They're
They're probably
very
very similar to Blue Bully. Have you tried Blue Bully?
um,
Okay, that's what I have on my bed, and I sleep really good because they're cool and they're soft and silky. But I have had people comment and say, I don't like that feeling like I'm sliding across. I mean, it's not like satin
yeah, it's
sheets,
not like satin or silk.
but
Like
it is. You can feel the difference. Okay,
yes.
all
Yeah.
right.
Okay, your turn. What household rule did you grow up with that you still follow today?
I'm with you. I don't think that there were any specific rules, but one thing that my dad was adamant about is if he called me from another room,
Uh,
I had to say, "Yes, sir." If I forgot and I just wasn't thinking and I said,
mhm.
"Yeah," he
Yeah,
would
there's no
say,
yeah or huh. So
"Uh-uh."
that's a
He'd
mhm.
say, "Yeah." And I'd be like,
Huh.
"Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, sir."
Yep.
So that was, and I don't think my mother was that strict about it, but my dad really was like, I
We
mean, I
had
didn't
that
have to
too.
say it all the time, but if he was calling me from another room, it was a sign of respect to say,
Mhm.
"Yes, sir, I'm coming," or whatever.
Mhm.
Not,
Yeah, and
"Yeah."
that's the same thing, like, it's the same kind of rules that we had, like,
Yeah.
rules, quote, unquote, like, not like necessarily spoken, but unspoken respect, manners type rules, not like household related,
And not
cleaning
stretch the
or
phone cord.
okay.
Stretching it all the way to the
Ours was
pantry.
always put it back on the charger. Don't leave it just hanging around the house because we had a
See,
cordless phone.
that's the difference between you and me, because I grew up with a rotary dial phone. And it was in our kitchen. And if I needed to have a private conversation, I would stretch it to the pantry, which had slatted doors. I don't know how much privacy I thought I was getting in there, but for whatever reason, if I was talking about boys or something, I didn't want my mom to hear it. And then the cord would just be like all wadded up and tangled, and she'd get, irritated by that. Because my mom spent more time on the phone than I did.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What is something you refuse to buy generic?
Mayonnaise.
Oh. I didn't think about that either.
I will not buy store brand mayonnaise, store brand ketchup.
Okay.
Those are probably the only two things, or store brand peanut butter.
Okay. We might cause some controversy with this, but what is your mayonnaise brand of choice?
I know a lot of people are big Dukes.
Uh-huh.
People, I am not. I think Dukes is too creamy. Like, if there is such a thing, it's just too something.
Yeah.
I'm a Hellmann's mayonnaise.
Okay. So I grew up in a Hellmann's family, but I buy Dukes now. I know. But I like them both.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Why did you bail on Hellmann's?
No, I still use it a lot, but like for me, when I'm making chicken salad or something like that, the Dukes has it does something different to me than the Hellmann's does. But I still like Hellmann's. I grew up on Hellmann's. Like if I'm making a tomato sandwich or an egg sandwich, I want Hellmann's.
I do agree that if you were to take a piece of bread, two pieces of bread, and spread one with Hellmann's and one with the Dukes, you definitely would see a difference. I don't know what it is about maybe maybe Dukes has less air in it. I kind of feel like Hellmann's might have more air.
You're right. It's fluffier.
But I don't like, if you made me a sandwich with Dukes in it, it would be fine. But I don't buy Dukes. I buy Hellmann's.
Yeah. Okay.
And definitely not Kraft mayo. No. Nasty. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't eat it. Okay. What childhood snack could you still eat by the handful?
Here's the thing is my mom would not buy snacks. She was very health conscious, and she didn't want my dad eating a lot of junk. So have I shared the story about Mary and her junk drawer at her house?
No.
Okay. If I wanted junk, I would go to Mary's house because Mary's mother kept a drawer underneath the double oven. And she would keep it stocked with Twinkies, Ho-Hos, Ding Dongs, chips. Mostly I remember Twinkies and sweet stuff, like packaged processed food that now, if you put it in a time capsule,
it wouldn't
and 100 years later, it would still be intact. But I just remember being so mesmerized by that. And just the freedom of just being able, like, there was no, like, you're going to spoil your dinner, or that's not healthy, or don't eat that. And I don't know why her mother was just so free with the snacks, but I wouldn't eat those now because they were almost kind of like a forbidden food. What would I eat now that I would eat by the handful? Probably, what would I eat now? I like Bugles.
Oh, I like Bugles too.
And I haven't had them in a long time until I went on that road trip to come see you when I was hangry. And I bought $30 worth of snacks. So maybe I would say Bugles.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. I would say popcorn too. I can still eat popcorn by the handful, like movie popcorn.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one food you think is wildly overrated besides boiled peanuts?
Catherine is going to listen to this and she's going to be so upset with me. Caviar.
Oh, I remember you talking about caviar before. Because she did the caviar for y'all's little beach trip, or like had the snacks for and
that was the first time for me to try it. And she was just like, once you have it, you are just never going to not want it. And I took it, she presented it beautifully, which she always does everything to perfection when she hosts. And she had a bowl of potato chips and I think maybe creme fraiche and a really nice jar of caviar, and had it beautifully plated. And she made one for me, and I took a bite. It didn't check my boxes.
Yeah. Well, I don't love it either, to be honest. And I like salty things, but to me, it's too fishy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not my fave.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right.
sorry, Catherine, sorry.
What's something you splurged on that was absolutely worth it?
So I can't remember who I bought it from, but it was from a reseller on a vintage dealer on Instagram. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago, but it's a star clock
Oh.
and it's gold
Hmm.
and it has the prongs that come out and it's a self-winding wall clock. It's probably
Hmm.
30 inches wide
Oh, wow.
and it reminds me of something that would have hung above the sofa in our living room when I was growing up.
Hmm.
And I keep it in my ladies' lounge. And I just love it. I love the sound of it ticking. And I think it's a 7-day clock. So it'll go for 7 days before I have to, wind it. But
Yeah.
let's just love this. In fact, it was ticking when I did my homeworthy segment.
Hmm.
And the photographer kept saying, "What is that sound?" And I
Hmm.
said, "You know what? I think it's my clock." And he said, "I think we probably should take it down and move it into another room because everybody's going to hear that tick, 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 tick,
Uh,
tick in the background." So anyway.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that was fun.
We're good.
That
We
was
always
wonderful.
go way beyond just the questions and talk about
Yeah.
more.
Well,
Develop.
that's what makes it fun.
Yes.
So anybody, if there was something that really hit a hot button with you on what we said, let us know.
Yeah. Let us know.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. You've got
We're
a
about
fun
to.
guest to introduce.
Yes, guest interview segment with Sarah Peterson. We mentioned her book a couple episodes ago, Dish and Tell, and she is the author of Dish and Tell and the writer at vintagedishandtell.com, and she'll share all about that in the interview. And I was introduced to her, and I say this when we were talking, but I was introduced to her by a sweet member of the Storykeeper Circle, June, who is from Minnesota, and Sarah is also from Minnesota. But she is a lovely person, and she's going to share with us about her book, Dish and Tell, and how she got started with this passion project, basically, of making sure we're preserving heirloom recipes while we can.
I
So,
can't wait to listen.
yes, here we go. Okay, y'all, I'm so excited about welcoming Sarah Peterson to the Sentimental Twist today. Sarah and I met, quote unquote, through a sweet member of the Storykeepers Circle, June. She connected us because they're both from Minnesota and she knew about Sarah and Sarah's purpose and passion. And it just aligns so beautifully with what Melissa and I share individually on our own feeds and social media and websites, but also the purpose behind the Sentimental Twist. And so I knew immediately that we needed to have Sarah on as a guest for an interview. And so, Sarah, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, it's really fun when we get to connect with like-minded individuals from all over that kind of have the same heart and same passion for not necessarily old things or vintage things, but you do as well. But just for the telling stories through our homes, through our kitchens, through our hospitality. And so we're really going to hear from you today about recipes and heirloom kitchen traditions. And so for our listeners who have not met you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself, Vintage Dish and Tell, and what inspired you to write Dish and Tell, which we'll talk about.
Sure. So, my name is Sarah. I live
Mhm.
in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I've been here about 30 years. I grew up in northern Minnesota, but just a lifelong Minnesotan. I love it here. My background, people are surprised, when they hear I wrote a cookbook, that I'm not a chef. I'm not really a culinary professional, but at the heart, I'm a storyteller. So my background is in journalism and public relations. I went to school for journalism, have a long career in public relations, which I still work in today.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is based in storytelling on behalf of my clients. So and a lot of it is related to the food industry. A lot of my clients are in the food space. So I have this intersection of food and storytelling. Back in about 2019 is when I had this inkling that I wanted to do something different for myself. I wanted to start writing for myself from my own perspective and not my clients, share some of my stories, which I didn't really know what those would be, and find my voice. And I also am a very nostalgic person who, I love all things vintage. And I think that's why we vibe so well. And I'm so glad June introduced us. Is I live in an old house. I have a lot of antiques and vintage things, a lot of heirlooms and antiques handed down from my grandma's, my parents, my husband's family. I love that world. So I have this passion for vintage. I also, so I said it was like 2019 when this kind of all merged. But so I have the passion for vintage. I also really was gravitating more toward older recipes, the tried and true recipes that my mom had made my whole life, my mother-in-law makes, my grandma's. I have 2 kids. They're grown now, but when you're in the thick of it, you're cooking a lot, you're hosting birthday parties, you're hosting holidays. And I just found myself gravitating toward these recipes that were familiar, that I knew my mom and my relatives had made. And so I started posting on Instagram in 2019. It was around Mother's Day. I couldn't be with my mom that year. And I pulled out one of her recipes for chocolate chip shortbread cookies. It's actually in the cookbook. Um, and I shared a little post about it along with the story behind it and why they're so beloved in my family. And I just really had fun with that and started posting more family recipes on my Instagram with family photos and stories about these women in my family who were first to bring these recipes to the table. And it was so much fun that it evolved into a blog where I could get more into the storytelling part of it. I mean, I still love Instagram, but I loved blogging and writing about not just sharing the recipes, but writing about the stories, sharing pictures of these women from my family, sharing, like if I had pictures of their dishes and some of the things that they've passed down to me, like mixing bowls. It was just really fun to have the opportunity to revisit, these recipes and photos of people from my past.
Yeah.
And so the blog, I did that for a few years and it branched out from my family too. I started talking to friends and neighbors and other people, sometimes strangers, about those recipes and their families that have been handed down through the generations and why they're so special. And I started writing about them. And then the blog from there just blossomed into this idea for a book. And that's how we got Dish and Tell Recipes from the Heart.
Yes. That's awesome. You know what? We have a lot of similarities, not only in just like our love for things that tell a story and old things, but I also am a journalism public relations gal. And so it's just wild how
Yes.
we get connected through things like that and we never expect from people that we may never meet in real life. But, it's just
Exactly. Yes.
amazing.
I think
Power of the
that's
internet.
really cool that you have that background too. And I think when you're in that world, yeah, you kind of learn the skills to tell a story and you're very passionate about it. And what a cool thing that we both can do this now for our own interests and
Yes.
passions. That's what
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for that.
I love that. Okay. So the book is called Dish and Tell, but you used that phrase dish and tell and you used it before the book was created, which we
Yes.
love. So tell us what dish and tell means and why do you think recipes are such powerful storytellers as it relates to what dish and tell means?
Yes. Well, dish and tell, I coined that term for what I do because it reminds me of show and tell. Like when you're a kid in elementary school, everybody can remember how much fun it was to bring in an object from home, a toy or something, and tell your class about it. And like that pride that you felt. Like, do you remember that? I totally remember that. And so I think of dish and tell in the same way. You have a special recipe in your family. Maybe you're going to a potluck and you have this recipe and somebody asks you about it. And there's just that pride you have in talking about it. And so when I dish and tell with somebody, it's kind of like I put my journalist hat on and I ask them, well, tell me about this dish and why it's so beloved. Who was the first person in your family to make it? When did you enjoy it? How does it make you feel when you serve it? And so that's the tell part of it. There's the dish, what it is, and then just talking about it and talking about why it's special. And then you asked why recipes are such great conversation starters and why they deserve to be talked about. And I just feel like recipes are so special, the ones that have been handed down, because they're like memory makers, right? They really get us talking about our past and memories, and everybody kind of has a story behind their favorite recipes. And I just think it's so important to talk about them.
I agree. I completely agree because I think about all of those recipes that I still cook today, but the ones that just I have the most memories around. There's just so many stories about it and why it's important, in our family to share this meal or share this recipe together. So I love that. Okay, so we often say that home is really about the stories we keep. We talk a lot about story keeping and the storykeeper circle, but also here on the Sentimental Twist. And why do you think recipes deserve a place alongside heirlooms, photographs, letters, and the other treasures that we keep in our home and that we pass down through generations?
Because I feel like they are heirlooms, right? They are
Mhm.
these pieces from the past that connect us to people or a period in time. So I feel like they should be preserved and celebrated, displayed. And as I wrote this book, it was so fun to see how families, take these cherished recipes that they have in their family and
Yeah.
the unique ways in which they may display them around their home. Like some people have framed versions of a recipe. Some people have had them reprinted on like a dish towel or a cutting board. I
That's
know
so
I
neat.
met one person at a trade show who talked to me about how they made wallpaper out of a bunch of their like family recipes that were handwritten.
Mhm.
So how cool is that? But yeah, I just think like a photo album or other like handwritten letters, I just think if you have recipes from your family, like how lucky are you? And
Mhm.
even like the ones that aren't handwritten, I have a couple of Rubbermaid containers, one from my mom, and then I
Mhm.
have another one from my husband's grandmother. So very different generations. And
Yeah.
it's so fun to go through these Rubbermaid containers that they have handwritten recipe cards, but they also have like recipe cards from their friends. They have menus from parties that they had. They have a lot of newspaper clippings or old food manufacturer pamphlets with recipes.
Yep.
And so it's like you step back in time. My mom's is very much from my childhood. So like 80s recipes, finger jello and
Mhm.
dips and veggie pizza that used to make on the Pillsbury Crescent dough, like really nostalgic things for me. And then
Mhm.
my husband's grandmother, her recipe collection is probably from the 50s and 60s. So just very, simple, straightforward meals, but fun things too, like jello
Mhm.
salads and jello
Yep.
molds. But I just love like going through these boxes and looking through the recipes to feel connected to my
Mhm.
past and a different time.
Yep. I have the same. I have one from my mom that I think that she put together as an early, like a young bride. And it has some of her handwritten things, like how she interpreted her mom's recipes. And I just made one last weekend that I'm like, Mama, this was not helpful. I talked about it on the episode a few episodes ago, but just it did not have measurements for the things in the recipe. So you just kind of have to throw it together and it's got grease stains and all that on it.
Oh,
And then I have one from my grandmother that is the same kind of thing, like, from her friends, like, some of them had the envelope that her friend mailed it to her
oh,
in,
neat.
and then the clippings from the newspaper when they would put, you know, the specific product that was trying to sell, the recipes that included that product, so I have a lot of that
Exactly.
too, and it
Some
does
of
feel
those
like
are the best recipes though,
yeah.
aren't they?
It does feel like connecting with them because I'm like, they organized this recipe box, to suit them. And it was
Yep.
exciting for them to look through and pick. And it just makes me feel very connected to them. And then old recipe books, like from churches and things like that, that my grandmothers used and my mom used, and their little notes in the margin. It's not their recipe, but
Yes.
I have one where my grandmother Ella, she wrote to the side Ella's. So when we had this meal at her house, this is what she cooked from. It was someone else's
Right.
recipe, but she wrote by it, this is the one she used. And so,
That's so
that
special.
was really fun to see. So I love that so much. Okay. So as you gathered stories for your book, what surprised you most about the emotional connection that people have to the family recipes and food traditions in their family?
Yeah, I think what surprised me quite a bit was just, well, first of all, people were very open to talk to
Mm.
me. And, some people that I met were strangers. They came to me
Mhm.
through my newsletter or my website and
Mhm.
had a recipe that they thought I might be interested in. We'd get together and cook it together. And what was cool is just their enthusiasm for talking about the recipe, but also soon they'd be bringing out their recipe box or photos of their grandmas or people that had made the recipe, and really sharing the history of the recipe and the traditions behind it. And I think that was just so fun to see people get as excited as I do. And maybe they hadn't had an opportunity to do this. And that was what was fun too, is like sometimes I'd be interviewing one person, but maybe they'd invite a couple other family members to come. And then soon they're all talking about this. And the other people in the family are like, well, I didn't know you had this recipe box full of grandma's recipes. And so that was really like a moment of discovery for everybody. And I think too, like a lot of families, something that surprised me is a lot of them had a lost recipe, like something that they wished they would have gotten from maybe somebody that passed on. And I think just talking about it too, like in helping them, like maybe if they didn't have the actual handwritten card, there's still a way that could live on. You're talking about it, you have the memory of it, you can still make something close to it.
Yeah.
Maybe use your grandma's mixing bowl if it's her recipe and you don't have it, but use her mixing bowl. So still find ways to bring her to the table or bring her into it and make sure that recipe and that memory lives on.
Yeah, I can relate to that. There are several lost recipes, or at least I haven't found them yet. And one was for my granny's peach ice cream. It was like the famous peach ice cream when our church had the ice cream socials, but I cannot find it written down anywhere so far. And I may be shined upon one day and it will fall out of the recipe box that I just haven't seen it before. But yeah, that's really interesting to think about, bringing her to the table regardless of whether it's her actual recipe, because you can, even if you are finding a recipe that seems similar, you can still connect those memories to that. I love that. That's a good thought to have for those.
Maybe you have some of her old dishes and you can serve peach ice cream in her dishes, or make it on her birthday, like there's ways to keep the memory going. Because I realize not everybody has these family recipes, but they might have that cherished memory. So just trying to keep them alive and keep the tradition going and recreate it if you have to.
Yeah, it's a similar thought to the thing that I like to tell people to do if they don't have heirloom furniture and decor, to adopt them. And it's the same kind of thing, like adopt the heirloom recipes, that remind you of things that you had as a child, that reminds you of those experiences that may not be exact, but they can still connect you to that story in your life. So that's that. I love that.
Exactly.
It's a new point of view for me, not just furniture, but recipes as well. All right. So for someone who wants to preserve their family's recipes, let's say they do have this big recipe box or whatever, but they feel a little overwhelmed by all of that. Maybe they know they need to be writing some things down. Where would you encourage them to begin?
Yeah, well, I tell people, don't go too crazy. Start simple. Start with just one recipe. Like talk, if there's something that your mom or your grandma makes that you really love, get that recipe, make it with them if you can. Write it down, talk to them about the story behind it. Don't take it for granted that recipe is just going to be there waiting for you someday. Like you got to start somewhere, right? So just start one at a time. But I also talk to people about, as a family, some things you can do. And it's really fun to dish and tell as a family and maybe give it as a gift. So in my book, I have some tips on how to do this. You could package up an opportunity to dish and tell with grandma, wrap up a wooden spoon and maybe some, I don't know, it's in an invitation to get together with grandma where she will share her special chocolate chip cookie recipe with you. You're going to show up with your family members. You're going to bring all the ingredients. You're going to make it easy for grandma, do all the cleanup. But all the while you're there, you're recording the steps. You're taking pictures maybe to document the day, just creating that special time together. So that's something fun you can do together as a family, I think.
Yeah, I love that. And it's building a memory, not only for you and the future, but your grandmother is going to love it so very much because it probably feels very special. Like it's almost like she's a guest of honor in that moment, even in her own house, if they're cooking in her own house, but she's being honored. And I think it's so important. And I wish there's so many times, I know my mom and grandmothers knew that I loved them and admired them and stuff, but something like that, I wish that I had the opportunity to do and just be like, I love this because of you, I did have one experience learning cornbread dressing from my grandmother, cooking that for Thanksgiving with her. And of course, my notes are also still very like, wait, what? But I still have it at least, and I have that memory. And so, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, speaking on to
Yeah.
that, what are some of your favorite questions to ask a parent, a grandparent, aunt, whomever the keeper? Let's talk about that a little bit too.
Yes.
Or family member is to uncover the stories behind the beloved recipes.
Sure. And I'll just explain too, the term keeper is something I
Mhm.
use a lot in my writing. So a keeper is in my family, it was like my aunts, my grandmas, my mom, my mother-in-law, like the women in our family who really were the keepers of these cherished family recipes and our food traditions. So they would bring
Mhm.
in the special potato salad to the potluck or making the
Right.
stuffing for Thanksgiving. So that's who I call the keepers. And I guess when I'm interviewing other people now about their, I'm interviewing keepers about their family
Mhm.
traditions. The questions I ask, I always ask, when did you start making this recipe? What are your earliest memories of it?
Mhm.
Who first brought it to the table in your family? Like, how did you learn about it? Did you make it
Mhm.
with your grandma, your mom? Tell me about the time of year that you enjoyed it. Was it something at the holidays? Was it for special occasions? Any tips or tricks that you have? And really just what's the story behind it? And people just start talking and it kind of goes
Mhm.
from there. But yeah, the conversation starters are just kind of, what are your earliest memories and who does this remind you of?
Yeah.
Why is it so beloved and how does it
Mhm.
make you feel?
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I have the same kind of thought about the things in our homes, having the conversations and making it feel joyful and a time for them to tell stories. And because I know some people kind of shy away from that because they don't want it to feel like maybe they're trying to imply that they're going to be gone soon. And those, there's that feeling of like, oh, I don't want it to feel like I'm like, grilling her. But it becomes this connecting point and keep it very casual and joyful. And then they start telling the stories. And I think everybody likes to tell those
Right.
memories. They like to get them out. And I think it's a wonderful way to process that with a loved one.
Yeah, and I always ask, and I should say too, when I'm interviewing somebody and we're talking about a specific dish, we
Mhm.
do talk more about like, well, what are some other dishes you enjoyed eating growing up? Do you have any pictures of, when you were at this age when you first had this recipe or dish and that I find that people really do love to open up and
Mhm.
share about their past and any opportunity to crack open old photo albums or look through their old
Mhm.
recipes.
Yeah, I love it too. Moving to a little bit more of a personal thing. Is there one recipe from your own family that you hope is never lost? And tell us the story behind it. So tell us the dish and tell us the story.
Yes. So I have a lot of those kinds of dishes, but
Mhm.
one in particular is a chocolate cake that my mom would make for me every year for my birthday. We call
Mhm.
it the one and only chocolate cake. And it's just a really rich chocolate cake. It has a cup of coffee in the batter, which
Mhm.
intensifies the chocolate flavor. And then
Yeah.
also has a really rich chocolate buttercream frosting that just takes it over the top. So the cake itself is amazing, but I think it's the memories and the tradition of having it year after year
Mhm.
and now my mom doesn't really bake anymore, but I bake the cake for her. And then I have two kids and they request it every year for their birthday. So it's been fun to see how it's been handed down. And it's been like, over 50 years now that we've been making this cake. And my mom probably got it like out of a magazine back in the
Mhm.
day and maybe made a few tweaks. But it's one too that I feel like these recipes that live on and on people make them over and over, and that's how they become tried and true. So I call it the little black dress of chocolate cakes because, like, every woman needs a little black dress that you can just slip on and feel
Yeah,
fabulous. You need a chocolate cake that is going to turn out every time and it's going to be a crowd pleaser. And that's this cake that my mom's been making for me
that's
that I hope
perfect. It's
will live on. And I'm sure it will because now I make it for my
yeah,
kids. They make it, their friends make it because they have the recipe, and it's just really fun to see that happen.
that's sweet. That's really cool. That it's not just your family too. It's expanding beyond your family, which is kind of fun to think about. And I love that too, like recipe swaps. That's another component to the whole thing.
Yes, yes. Sharing recipes, it's fun so that these treasured, cherished recipes go beyond your family.
Yeah, that's so neat. Okay. So the podcast tagline is Two Generations, One Love for Meaningful Spaces and Gracious Hospitality. And so we talk a lot about traditions because of that. And we talk about food traditions as well and gatherings. So, what role do you think gathering around the table and sharing meals plays in keeping family stories alive?
Yeah, I think about holidays and special occasions and celebrations, those times when you have bigger groups of your family sitting around the table. The foods that we eat, often represent something from our past. A lot of times those occasions lend themselves to recipes that have been handed down, and they can be the way to start a conversation or spark a memory and get people talking. I think about like Thanksgiving is probably the biggest time of the year where I have my family together, and so many dishes on the table are the things we've been making year after year, and they've become a tradition. And they're things that, my grandmas who've passed away, they used to make. And so it's a time to talk about that. And even beyond the recipes, it's the dishes that we use too, right? So there's like heirloom
Right.
pieces. I try to bring a little piece of everybody to the table that was from our family. If I have the water glasses from my husband's grandma, my grandma's china, my mom's special salt and pepper shakers, like it's all there, and all helps to create that conversation and spark memories. But the recipes themselves are the foundation, right? That's the thing that really kind of ties it all together and keeps tradition going, is,
Yeah.
that we serve these same things that we've been having year after year, and that are tied to somebody special in our family too. And
Yeah.
it gives us the chance to talk about them and bring their
Mhm.
memory back.
Oh, yeah. My mom's gone, my grandparents are gone. And just this past weekend, I had my family over and we did a summer supper, a Sunday dinner that was very summery. So all the produce and things. And just the conversations, like I made my paternal grandmother's cornbread and I made creamed corn, the recipe that I could not get details from my mother, but I figured it out and it turned out okay. But because we had those things, we talked about them so much
Yep.
through that gathering and remembering fun things about them. And especially for my nephews and niece, they didn't meet their
Right.
grandmother and they didn't meet their great grandmother. Two of them did meet their great grandpa. But just it gives us an opportunity to say, well, that was Granny Ella. This is how Granny Ella did it. And Fancy, which is my mom, this is her recipe, that kind of thing. And they get to ask questions and talk about it. And so I just love that. Yeah. It becomes a catalyst. Like, recipes are a catalyst for conversations and memories and nostalgia. And I think that's just so important, especially now when life is so fast and it is harder for people to gather. When you take the time to do that, I think it connects us to our history in a way we don't really do much otherwise, purposefully anyway. So
Absolutely.
okay, I'm gonna grab the book again. When someone encounters you through your book, or you have a Substack, which we'll talk about that before we close it out, but or your website, what do you hope that they do next?
Yes. So, of course, I mean, I want them to read the book and try some of the recipes, but I'm really hoping it inspires them and
Mm,
sparks something in them to reflect on, the recipes in their own life that they cherish and love, whether it's from their childhood or more recently, and, seek out recipes from their family. If there's something, that they know that they love that's been showing up at holidays or celebrations, and they know they want to keep in the family, get that recipe. Don't wait on
mhm,
it. Don't sit on it. Tell your mom or talk to your grandma. The best scenario is to get together and
mm,
make it together,
yeah,
because it's one thing to have it written down, and that's great, but to make it together and have that memory, and then write some notes in the margins about their special tips and tricks, that's really
mhm.
special too. But yeah, I just hope people are inspired.
Yeah, and when you do that, write the date down that you did that, because
Yeah,
I think that's a really cool thing to look back, when they're gone and you can remember, in November of 2026, I got together with them and they taught me how to do the stuffing or the cornbread dressing or cranberry sauce or whatever the, famous thing
exactly.
is for your Thanksgiving. But I wanted to point out the one and only chocolate cake is
Yes.
in Sarah's cookbook. So you need to make sure you get it if you want to make the one and only chocolate cake that she talked about.
Yes. And I'll say too, like if you do get together with your family members to learn a recipe, take pictures because that's so fun. There were a couple of people that I interviewed for the book and they were dishing and telling before I even, wrote this book, and I captured it in the book. So there's a recipe for some cinnamon rolls and then another one for Grandma Janet's white cookies. These two people that I write about in the book, one's named Shannon, one's named Stacy, they both had gotten together with their grandmas years ago to learn these cherished family recipes and document them and photograph the day. And that is like the pinnacle of what, I hope people would do after reading this book is be like Shannon and be like Stacy. And, if you have a family member, a grandma, if you're so lucky to have a grandmother still, and there's things that she makes that you want to learn, get together and make them together and document the day.
I love that. Well, we have a special tradition on the Sentimental Twist where we do what's called a Porch Talk speed round. And Melissa and I ask each other like quick fire questions to kind of pull the curtain back or peek behind the screen door, as we like to say, to get to know each other a little bit better and to talk about the topics that we talk about. And so I have some Porch Talk speed round questions for you. Are you cool with that? You want to
I am
pop
so
them off
cool
real
with
quick?
that. Yes.
Okay. All right. First one, cast iron or vintage Pyrex?
Both.
I know. Gotta have them both.
I use both. And I guess it depends on the situation, but I have my cast iron pans out all of the time on the top of my stove. I have a big one and I have a small one. Use them about every day. And then I have so much vintage Pyrex. I have the mixing bowls, but I also have baking dishes that I use weekly.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can pick one. Sorry.
I know. I don't think I could either because the cast iron has so many memories for me, but the Pyrex, and the Pyrex does too, but not as many as a cast iron. But the Pyrex is just pretty, and it's
I
fun to
love
have.
it. I love all the colors, and I have some that have been handed down to me, but then I also can't resist it when I'm at a thrift store or vintage shop. I buy a lot of it. I love it for
Relatable.
display.
Okay. Question number 2. What's one dish that instantly feels like home to you?
One dish that instantly feels like home, I think I would say like Sunday dinner at my mom's. And that's like my mom would make roast beef and roast pork together to get the best gravy.
Right.
So like a Sunday dinner with meat, mashed potatoes, and gravy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I can see that. That would feel very much like home to me too. So, okay,
Yes.
number 3. If you could share one meal with anyone, past or present, who would be sitting around the table with you?
Oh, now that's kind of easy because I would just bring back all of my family members that have passed away that meant so much to me. So my grandmas, my grandpas, and my dad. Like, I just feel like that would be so special. And my mom, like it'd be family.
Yeah.
So you said past and present. I'd have my present family too. But like, certainly I'd bring back the people that have passed because that would be just, it would be so nice to talk to my grandmas and my aunts about recipes because when I had the chance growing up, it just wasn't my thing. I was a kid or, I had other things going on in my life. And now it's like, I'd be so interested in knowing more about the recipes of theirs that we cook today.
Okay. I mean, you may already have an answer to this next one that we've already talked about. I don't know, maybe not. But what's one item in your kitchen that you'll never part with?
Well, my recipe box.
Okay.
Yes, I think definitely if there was a fire and I had to like grab one thing, I was heading out the door, it would be that. That has recipes handwritten from my mom's and my grandma's and other people, but it's also like this place in my kitchen where I just store random things that I don't want to lose track of. And it's just so special to me. So I think I would have to say my recipe box.
I love that answer. All right, last one. Finish this sentence. Home is
wherever my family is.
That's good.
Yeah. I think just it doesn't matter where we are as long as, I'm with my kids, my husband, my dog, my mom. Yeah, wherever family is.
Yep. That's good. That's great. Well, Sarah, this has been a joy, and I hope that we get to connect again soon. I appreciate your willingness to come on and be a guest on the podcast and how you participated. I don't know if I mentioned this at the top of the interview, but she came and was a guest in the Storykeepers Circle and shared about Dish and Tell and some tips and advice for the members of the Storykeepers Circle. So it's just a blessing to get to know you even more and to have a great conversation with you about heirloom recipes and how to honor and preserve them and the stories and the people behind them. So before we close it out, we have Dish and Tell, the book, which I will link in the show notes, but can you share with our listeners how to connect with you, all the places, the best places to connect with you?
Sure. So probably the best place is my website, and it's vintagedishandtell.com. And from there, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I have the same name across my social media. So it's Vintage Dish and Tell. And I'm also on Substack. My newsletter there you can probably find if you just search Vintage Dish and Tell, but you can link to it all from my website.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd love it if people, check out my website and my Substack. I share new stories and new recipes. So that's kind of fun. So it didn't all end with the book. The book is a great foundation, but I'm going to keep writing and keep telling stories. And I'm always interested in hearing from other people too. So if they have like a great family recipe that they want to share, love to talk with them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Bye.
Wow.
Wow.
I bought her cookbook,
Mm-hmm.
and let me go grab it.
Oh, I've got it right here, too.
Well, there's a recipe I've already made in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And now that I've listened to the interview, I want to make her shortbread chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, yes.
The nibblings are coming this weekend and to spend the weekend, and I think I may try to make those. I made the dill pickle pasta salad.
That's one that I have earmarked to make.
Yeah, it was so good. And I tell you what, I made it. We kind of got off habit of doing it, but Catherine and her husband Bill would come over every Sunday. We'd take turns hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this, and I think we had brisket.
Yum.
And Mary was here that weekend. And both Mary and Catherine said they weren't real big dill pickle people, so they weren't sure where they were going to like it.
Right.
Mary had like 3 servings. I don't know that Catherine was into it, but her husband Bill was like, this is so good.
That's good.
And what's interesting is you take an entire 32-ounce jar of pickle juice.
That's
And what you do is you cook the pasta and you drain it and rinse it. And then you place the pasta in a bowl with the pickle juice and you combine it, and then you cover it and refrigerate it for at least 12 hours. So I think what it does is it kind of acts as a brine and makes the pasta kind of salty. Mm-hmm. And then you add in it mayonnaise, sour cream, dill, and pepper, pickles, and cheese and onion. It was so good. So I just love this cookbook.
I know, it's so good. And I love it because it's like down home. They're just normal recipes.
Not anything. You have all the ingredients in your pantry. So here's my two takeaways. Here's my 2 takeaways.
Okay.
The first thing is I loved how she talked about show and tell.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that when you were in school?
Yes.
Do you remember what you took?
Oh, all kinds of things. Like if we had gone on a trip, or if I had a new baby doll, like whatever.
Oh, I cannot think for the life of me what I would take for show and tell, what I did take. But I want to ask you, what would be your dish and tell recipe that you would share with the class?
I would either do Eliz's caramel snack mix from our Christmas season last year, because it's a fan favorite, or what's the thing? The recipe that it's not really a recipe, but it is, that feels very dish and tell like. It's the spaghetti sauce I mentioned episode or 2 ago. That was my comfort meal, because it's something that has been part of my life since the very beginning. I remember having spaghetti often as a child. I think just because it's easy to make, and it's nothing super special, but it just evokes all these memories of my granny making it in her kitchen, my mom making it, and her teaching me how to make it. And then as a teenager, I kind of took over making it. So maybe that, or breakfast casserole, since it's like our, thing that we always make. So.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking, wouldn't it be fun if we did a cooking segment one time?
Ooh, that would be fun.
like we
Mhm.
get in the kitchen and we cook something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listeners, tell us if you would like for Brittany and I to do a little cooking dish and tell. I think for mine would be my mother's chocolate cake recipe wasn't anything that's unusual. In fact, I want to try that chocolate cake she talked
That
about
she,
in her
yeah.
cookbook. Mine was the one everybody has, where you start it on the stove and you add it. So it's not a special recipe, but it's got special memories for me. But I think that probably my dish and tell recipe would be Phoebe's favorite that we have every Christmas morning, which is French toast casserole.
Oh yeah.
God, it is so good. I
Mm.
need to make that I don't
Just
know, just to make it.
yeah.
It's so good.
I just love Sarah's heart for encouraging people to look at recipes as heirlooms and take care of them like you do heirloom furniture, heirloom pieces in your home, photos in your home, because they are a tie to your past. And I just love her dish and tell concept of, she talks about it in the cookbook, and on her Substack and stuff, but just using time that you have with those family members that are still here and getting as much information and making it a fun get together, like to just hang out with grandma, some cousins get together and hang out with grandma and get her to walk you through making some of your favorite recipes that you've had at her house. I just love it, like making it a special moment in time and a memory for you and for her or whoever the loved one is that's the keeper of the recipes in your families.
I agree. That was my next point, is that you both said maybe you don't have furniture, maybe you don't have dishes that you inherited, but you probably have a recipe. It may not be in your loved one's handwriting, but it's up here. We've said it before. We've said it multiple times. Don't be the hogger of those recipes. Your legacy can be in that recipe by sharing it with a younger generation. So I just loved it. I thought you did a great job on that.
Feel fun.
Okay, so now we're on to Blessed I Had to Share It.
Yeah.
And
What's you got for us this week?
I was out running some errands, and I went by to get my restock of Swedish candy culture. So in Fort Worth, there is a brand new candy store. Their names are Lucas and Crimson is his wife, and they're both from Sweden. Well, he's Swedish national, but they married and lived in Sweden, and so he's 100% Sweden, speaks Swiss and all that. They just opened, long awaited. They opened Swedish Candy Culture, which is a candy store in Fort Worth, and they also do online sales where everything is 100% Swedish. And what he taught me is, because he did the candy for my premiere party when I launched my series on Netflix. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I love Swedish fish." And he was like, "Darling, Swedish fish are not even from Sweden. They're made in America or made somewhere." So anyway, here is an example. Banana candy. I mean, it's not unlike what we, like Sour Patch and gummies, but it's all natural, has no preservatives, no flavors, no dyes. Everything in it is just 100% goodness. So I stocked up, and so you can go onto their website, swedishcandyculture.com, and you can order yours. And they have the cutest little containers that you can go in, either a tub or a bag. And they've only been open 2 or 3 weeks. They might be going on their third week. The first day, there was a line around the corner. They had 3,000 people that came through the candy store.
Wow.
And when I was there today, there were quite a few people that were in there. I mean, every day, maybe not so much the third week, but I know the first couple of weeks, there was a line out the door every morning when they would open. So I'm just so happy for them. And if you live in Fort Worth, or even if you don't, if you just really want to try some great candy and support this couple, then place an order. What do you have to show us?
Well, mine is garden related, not garden related. Well, yeah, it is garden related. I recently got my email about pre-ordering my Christmas amaryllis bulbs to Force. And so I wanted to share where I get mine, and some of my favorite varieties is from amaryllisandcaladiums.com.
Okay.
And you can pre-order now, and I think they ship November 1st, which is the perfect timing to get them potted up so they bloom at Christmas. I like the blossom peacock. I like the pinker varieties because my home has a lot of coral. Blossom peacock, moon scene, and I ordered another one, and let me look it up. I can't think of the name of it really quickly. I'll look and see. Oh yeah, and the another one that I've gotten locally before is the Gervaise. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but Gervase. And it's kind of a pink and white, not striped, but sort of like it kind of almost looks like a lily. You know what I'm talking about? The colors in that. That's what I ordered this year. And Double Dream is another one that I ordered. So I like Moon Scene, Blossom Peacock, Gervase, I don't know how you say it, and then Double Dream. Those are the ones that I've really liked. And they are the colors of my Christmas. They remind me of the pinks in the Shiny Bright ornaments. So that's why I get the more pinker ones, not the bright red.
Because so what's your secret to growing bulbs? Because mine rot. They don't ever bloom.
Don't water them.
Oh, you don't have to water them?
Amaryllis, they have everything they need to bloom themselves without anything. That's why the waxed ones, you don't have to, you get the waxed ones in there because the bulb itself has all the nourishment, all the everything it needs to bloom without any help. And forcing them is the same thing like you would a paperwhite. You just put them in a pot of rocks, basically. I always do water the amaryllis just to the roots, like to the little bottom of the bulb to get them started, but then I never water the amaryllis again.
So you're saying now is the time to do it so they'll be ready in time for Christmas.
Well, now's the time to get them ordered, to pre-order them. They'll deliver them. They'll ship them if you want the special different varieties. I mean, they'll have them at Lowe's and your local nurseries and things like that in the fall. But I order from that website, amaryllisandcaladiums.com, to get those pretty ones that I like that match my Shiny Bright ornaments. Okay. So, and they ship them November 1st. So they're usually in by the first week of November, and I always pop mine up Veterans Day or around Veterans Day.
Okay, I love that.
To bloom at Christmas. So
great tips.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time to close the show already. All right, so this week it's my turn, and we like to close the show with what we call a toast to sentiment, which is a sentimental quote or story or poem, and end with just an encouraging message from us to you. And here is mine. Someday, someone may not remember exactly what we served for dinner. They may not remember what the house looked like or whether everything was perfectly arranged. But I hope they remember how they felt sitting at our table. So today we raise a glass to creating the kind of memories that don't need a photograph to survive.
Cheers. Love it.
Because at the end of the day, that's all we have is up here, you know?
Yeah.
It's nice if we have pictures. It's nice if we have mementos. But, you know, many of you were telling us, I don't have all that. I don't have that history. So that's why it's just really important to, you know, the messaging that Brittany and I try to share is to slow down, appreciate and not wish away time, and just to enjoy the present because we don't know what the future holds.
Right. So. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, that's all for today's episode of The Sentimental Twist. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed the interview with Sarah, and that if you haven't already, check out her book. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you grab her book. It would be a great gift to give a family member a dish and tell for the holidays and promise a dish and tell with that person. I think that would be super fun to do. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, so be sure to give us a follow on Instagram, Home with a Twist, for me, and Brittany is the Sentimental Decorator.
No, I'm at Brittany Shepherd.
At Brittany Shepherd, sorry. And then she's the sentimentaldecorator.com, homewithatwist.com. But more importantly, give us a follow over on our Instagram. We're trying to grow that account. Yes. It's the Sentimental Twist Podcast. And then send us an email if you have any ideas, you know, reflections, things that you were inspired by today. It's the Sentimental Twist Podcast at gmail.com. Yes. So thanks for joining us today on the Sentimental Twist,
where we believe every space tells a story.
And every story deserves a place at the table. Until next time,
keep things cozy, collected, and a little bit sentimental.
Bye, everybody.